Hello, I'm Autumn Rowe. I'm a mother, songwriter, DJ, Sona board member, and creator advocate. Thank you for joining this edition of Sona's in the Room with series. Today, I'm joined by composer, vocalist. Excited to talk to you today. Please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us about your journey with music and becoming an advocate for mothers in music.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm Tiff Randol. I'm a composer, songwriter, producer, and co-founder of Mamas in Music, a global nonprofit supporting mothers in the music industry. Creatively, I come from an indie background, focused a lot on sync, commercials, trailers, soundtrack stuff, and immersive projects. I have an artist project called I Am Eve that I release with. I produce, recently I've started producing for other artists and have been like having a career shift towards scoring, which has been really exciting, like post-mother creative shift for me. The idea of Mama's Music started in 2018 after I had my son. I was like going through postpartum. My husband, who's a director, was away filming, and my management team went a different direction like 6 weeks in. And I was just like in this like crazy cocoon love time with like tons of hormones and tons of postpartum and feeling like very uncertain about what steps to take. And I was in a bunch of mom groups, which were like an emotional lifeline for me, but I was also searching for some groups that had that intersection with the music industry because obviously our industry is very specific. The things we deal with are particular. And so I really felt like I needed to connect with other mothers in music. And so I was looking for an organization and couldn't find one. So I started reaching out to women's music business groups. And I was like, is there anyone out there also feeling this gap? Does anyone want to connect and create something? Which led me to my co-founder, Mary Lay, in the UK. And, we just started kind of rapping over baby time, sleepless nights, and trying to figure out, what it would look like if we had a community and supports that we needed as new mothers. And we launched Mamas in 2019, and here we are. And yeah, that's how we kind of got our start. Oh, muted.
Sorry, thank you. That's awesome. So you guys are in the UK and US?
Well, actually, we're global. It's an international nonprofit. We have members all around the globe. We're launching in Africa tomorrow, actually, at the Africa Rising Music Conference. We have a chapter in Australia. We have chapters around the US, and we have members scattered around and people reaching out to start chapters in wherever they are in their country. So yeah, we're very like international. The idea is basically like if we're all coming together, even if people have different regional challenges or different challenges depending what part of the business they're in, if we're all kind of coming in together, we can create an ecosystem and like this like network and share resources across borders with each other and stuff.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm very new in the mom space. I've only been a mom for 9 months, although I feel like I've been a mom my whole career. I guess being a songwriter many times feels like a mothering job. You feel like a therapist, like a mom, like a support system, like a best friend, like a big sis. You feel like you wear many hats as a songwriter. A little bit about myself to the mamas in music community, who I have not had the privilege of meeting yet. I'm a songwriter, producer, DJ, advocate. Sometimes I sing a little bit, and I've been in the music business for a very long time. I started when I was 16, so over 20 years now. And I have written for many people, ranging from like Diana Ross to John Baptiste, to currently have worked on a recent Miley Cyrus single for the release. Also started, I started out as like in a band, a girl group, and I was in a band, and I did tons of session singing. I was doing backgrounds forever. I was in wedding bands. I mean, I've worn like every hat imaginable. I've consulted for labels. I feel like I've done so many things. I've MD'd Vegas shows. I vocal coached America's Got Talent for 5 years. I did the X Factor. Uh, just constantly evolving and changing and trying things. And your experience just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And then you get to the point where you're like, I feel like I'm ready to be a mom. And I'm hoping that all these experiences make me a better one. I definitely had my daughter a little bit later in life, which I'm grateful for. I don't think I would have been ready 10 years ago. And I traveled a lot and did a lot of things and had, done it all. Partied, stayed out late, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's really important to do those kind of things. And especially in a career in music, and just to kind of embrace it and be in the moment with all the things you get to do. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm, my daughter's 9 months and I'm working mostly from home. I'm in my home studio right now. I do some outside sessions, but I'm trying to work from home as much as I can and just be around that first year of her life as much as possible. So yeah, that's where I'm at with things, guys. I feel like there's a lot I could learn about motherhood from you, Tiff. And what do you consider are some of the biggest challenges facing moms in music today?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the three big ones that come up from like almost every single mother I talk to are time, resources, and stigma, It's like it takes a lot to be in our careers anyway. It already takes a lot of like time and resources and then, with the addition of being responsible for caregiving as well, it adds a whole other level. And this industry is just not really set up with structural support for that transition. If you're not at a certain point in your career, I mean, I hear just a lot of mothers going like, women kind of going like, well, and including myself going like, I'm delaying this until I get to a certain point. I'm delaying this until I get to a certain point. And, we're always kind of chasing conversations. It's a marathon being in music, and, people get to different points at different points. And so, yeah, I think creating that structural support, like stipends, flexibility, things like that, would allow for mothers to be more in control of that conversation. Like they're choosing when they want to, not because of limitations or exclusion. And then there's also the stigma piece, which is just, it's like motherhood is seen as a liability a lot of times to people, or, something that's makes them less reliable or available or something like that. And that narrative is something that I think has a lot of people feel like they need to be quiet about it, or, put it off or shut stores and things like that. So I think breaking through those conversations and just normalizing motherhood and putting resources in place and things like that will be kind of the guardrails that allow, mothers to not have those conversations in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you that I feel like there should be an assumption that you're less available because someone is a mother. But I also feel like that can be a very positive thing. And I think the more that someone's time is valued, the less people will come to you with things that aren't of value to you. So before I even got pregnant, like maybe since like 2018, 2019, I started living life with this whole different mentality of live life like a rich woman is my thing. And when you live life like a very rich woman, you basically only do things that you want to do. and you do things that bring you joy. You do things that you're excited about. You do things that inspire you. And that goes for people you hang out with, for every little thing in your life. Doesn't make sense. Is it ticking the box? As far as like career things, I have a very specific path I go on of like, if I'm gonna do something, is it a lateral move or is it a move that can move me forward? Or is it a backwards move? Is it something I've already done 10 years ago? I'm just doing it because people are asking me to do it, but I actually don't want to do it. And kind of that's kind of my strategy for life. It's been like that for a while. And with that, I don't do a lot of things. So, I might only write once a week. I might co-write twice a month. I might, I don't do the 5, 6 days a week like I used to, 10 years ago, because honestly, it just wasn't productive for me. I looked at the rates of how many songs I was writing compared to how many songs were released. And that just didn't make any sense. Like, it just didn't make any sense for any other profession. Like, imagine if you were a doctor and you were like, well, for the 40 patients I've seen, only one has lived. Like no one would ever do that. Or like like the 500 dresses I made, only like one sells or two. And, no, it's not a way for me to sustain myself. So I changed the probability. Basically, I changed the math and made it much smaller and kind of a more controlled thing of like, okay, I'm going to only do this. I'm going to do this session because I really feel like I can add value to it and I can nail this. Like, I believe in this. And that's kind of how I've been going about things. So
when can I ask you, when did you start doing things that way? And, were you in a particular place in your career that you felt you could start doing that? Or did you take that on before that?
this was about 2018. And the place in my career I was in was maybe the lowest. So this was the place where I had just left America's Got Talent, which at the time doesn't pay a ton of money, but it was a consistent pay, right? On top of like my royalties and everything. So I was transitioning from fully leaving TV to I never stopped writing, but TV would take up like 5 months of my year when I started adding up the time. It went from 2 months to 3 to 4, like it just becoming like this consuming thing. So leaving that, fully focusing on creation, I went to DJ school at that time as well and started learning production and just taking music in a very different way as a DJ, where music I wouldn't even listen to, I now had to like study and learn and embrace it, and started loving things I didn't think I would love. And just started living a life of intention as opposed to doing what I think everyone else is doing or what's expected of me or whatever the formula is for my profession. Realizing that that formula isn't a one size fits all. So this is a very isolating and lonely thing to do, though, I will say, because you're moving here and you see all your other friends doing it a completely different way, right? And you're like, I don't think it works for me. So
Yeah.
that's around the time when I did it. And once again, I think that was the lowest point for me. That's also around the time I met my husband. A lot of good things changed when I changed my thinking. The world around me changed after. So yeah, I feel like when someone sees a mother and they're like, she doesn't have a lot of time, it's actually a really good thing, because I'm going to also compare it to, like, let's say Bill Gates. If you have Bill Gates' attention, do you think he has a lot of time? I don't. I really don't. I think that I better hit him up when it's really important. And I think moms are also bosses like that. So, our time is valuable. We're out here keeping people alive. and American
Yes.
the world. So yeah, I think we should own that more, like own it and be like, yeah, I am busy. So is this worth my time or not? And say no. Feel that power to say no to things as well. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think I was kind of curious to like think about, where that shift happened for you initially, and then, what's changed also in these 9 months since you had your little one around this whole trajectory. Because I also have just my own related experience. Like I think that there's something that happens in this like return to Venus kind of phase of life where you start to go, whoo, why am I doing the things I'm doing? And who am I in this world? And, am I doing these things because it's honest to me or feels good to me or because somebody's told me to? Like you're on the rat wheel, especially in this industry, and then there's a shift that happens and things start to, and then comes motherhood. I kind of have had a little bit of a similar timeline of those things. So I'm just curious what this like 9 months has been like for you around that.
I feel like a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I am home every day with her. I do go to events and I do write, but um, one advantage I have is I write really fast, and it's always been uh, a blessing. When I first started writing, I never co-wrote with other writers, so I had to always write alone and quickly, and just focus on a concept and just knock it out, knock it out, knock it out, and it's kind of been like a saving grace for me because I can still sit home and sometimes just kind of like write alone and write really quickly and feel happy with what I've written. Um, yeah, it's an interesting thing, but I guess because I've been on the trajectory of like intention and doing things that I want to do for so long that I was already in this headspace, before I had my kids. So kind of was already out of the loop of like doing the rounds and people just like hitting me up for things all the time. I kind of just left that so long ago.
Did you feel like creatively anything changed for you, like in your writing or anything like that? Or
Absolutely. So like before I was pregnant, music would just come to me. Like I walk in the street and I would hear a whole song. I would just record on my phone. Like music was just always in my head, in my ear. And when I got pregnant, that space went away. So it wasn't just floating all the time. Now that space was made for like creating a life and thinking about things to prepare for that life, as opposed to just having all this free space and free time in my head. So that's changed. And now that she's here, I also don't have that space anymore because I'm still always thinking about her. Um, I don't know if that's ever going to come back where I just have this like air, of like, oh, just come to me all the time ideas. I have nothing else going on. I
oh, not for
now,
me so far, but
right? So now I have to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write and I'm going to sit down and write right now. And then I do it. Unless I'm thinking about a specific artist or a specific project, and if I have it in my head, then the ideas will come. If it's like something out that I'm just like, okay, think about this, then it'll be like in the shower or like, I don't know, while folding laundry, it will just come to me like an idea, or whatever. If I know I want to create it, for example. I can also think in my sleep, which is also another thing sometimes.
it's really cool. When after I had Luca, my son, I had this. I had always thought about music, visually, but also with lyrics and melody. I was always really like song centric. And then after I had him, I wrote like one song about my birthing experience, and then I was like, nothing is coming through for this like period of time, accept just all of the words I was feeling about him. But then I started diving into instrumental music. It was like I could not find the words for a period of time. And just really like, it was actually a really cool gift because I started diving into instrumental music, which I'd never done before. And I really like fell in love with thinking of music in a different way for a period. So it's kind of cool because I think things can open up with these huge life changes that you don't expect. And also even just around like workflow and everything, like I hear tons of mothers going, well, I work smarter. Almost all of them are like, I focus on prioritizing. I say no to more things. I get stuff done quicker and find accommodations to get stuff done. And, um, are really super amazing and productive. I think.
Want something to get done? Ask a mom.
Yeah.
Ask a mom. Curious when you were going through that, like kind of, not loss of words, but not quite, getting the words you wanted, I guess. Did you try co-writing?
It was it's weird. My husband's a director and we travel a lot. So my schedule made it a little bit complicated. We'd be like 6 months in Prague with a newborn and then like, again, another city. And so I was so busy, and I'm also neurodivergent. So for me, transitions are a big thing. I didn't know that I was at the time, but I was going through like every time I'm leaving and then I'm coming to a new place. So there's always this long transition to get settled and sorted. And I just felt like I was like this, or so all to say that I did not really make that a focal point. I did work on a score with somebody, do like some co-scoring during that time, and but it was instrumental mostly. So,
Okay. Have you tried co-writing since?
yeah, I have actually, and doing some like co-writing and co-production, like not co-production, but producing and co-writing for some other artists, and I love that. It's really great. It's kind of cool to focus on most of the stuff that I have always done was artist projects of my own, like producing and writing that stuff. So like to actually focus on somebody else's artist project and put myself into that when I believed in it, it was really cool. I loved doing it. Yeah.
Do you feel like motherhood is discouraged in the music industry?
Yeah, I do. I think there's change in the air. There's been a groundswell, but like I think it's discouraged just by the fact that like logistically it's not there's not an easy road. For a lot of people feel like they have to make a choice because of a lack of structures, as well as our industry is super capitalist in the way everybody's, it's just this if you miss one opportunity, somebody else gonna jump in there, or like it's, and I think that I just think that the whole design, the system is a bit, broken in general, but certainly for mothers, I know a lot of them feel like they have to be quiet in the workplace. If they're on the business side, it's like, I should maybe not. I had somebody tell me just a couple months ago when I was talking to them, they work on the business side, that they never mentioned to anyone that they were a mother. And they just posted their Mother's Day thing and they have 2 kids who are older, and I just think that's so unfortunate that people feel like they can't talk about it because otherwise they're going to somehow be seen differently. And but I think there's change in the air. There's a lot of conversations happening that that weren't happening before, and I'm feeling hopeful about that. So
It's so interesting because I haven't experienced it at all. So when I got pregnant, I'm not kidding you, I had about 20 other people I knew pregnant at the same time.
that's cool.
Music. Like, so it just was a weird fluky thing of like everyone I knew was pregnant or already or just had a kid. So it just felt like, oh, I guess this is like the phase, this is just the new wave right now. It's just like, I guess everyone's having a baby. I don't know what's going on, but it was so strange how like I mean, people I never wouldn't even think, honestly, wouldn't even think were also pregnant. And I think you're right. Like there is a change in the air of this is what it is right now, and people wanting to live the life that they want to live, whatever that may be, kids, no kids, travel, whatever. Um, and I'm seeing like a community building of like moms kind of helping each other out, wanting to write with other moms because you you get me a little bit in a different way, or like what I'm going through right now in this moment. Like I feel like I can be myself with you kind of energy. It's interesting. Like I personally have just always, it's just my thing to just be like 100% who I am all the time. And I've just been embracing the motherhood like fully. So I've DJed twice and I've brought her with me to those gigs.
That's so good. I saw your picture that your video that you posted earlier, and it's so, I mean, that's amazing. Like that's what people need to be doing, is sharing more of that, so that all of the others out there that don't feel that free with it, can feel encouraged and inspired to do that as well. So I love that you're posting things like that. It's just so
Yeah, and
neat,
I'm gonna keep
you know.
posting, encouraged by what you're saying, just so people can feel more like accepted and it's normal. One cool thing I saw, like Sony Publishing just opened these really beautiful new studios in LA, and they had a nursing room.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a nursing room. It's a gorgeous studio. I mean, it's got the offices and the state-of-the-art recording. I mean, it's so fantastic in Hollywood. And I saw it in December around Christmas time, and I just had to go in August, and I'm like, oh my God, like you guys have a nursing room? Like they're like, yeah, of course. And that just made me feel even more like, okay, we're in a different time. Because I've talked to moms who had kids like 17 years ago, and
Yeah.
that's unheard of. It's unheard of for a studio to have a nursing room, and it just would never ever happen. So that's really cool to see the change and the growth. And I think the more we kind of like demand and prioritize these things, the more it, I mean, we make up a lot of the world. Like, like
It is for sure a collective conversation, it really is. And it's like, I look at people that have this experience and feeling, and of feeling like they can't be open about motherhood, and it's so absurd because we all come from mothers. And we should, I think when mothers are thriving, then like kids are thriving and the world becomes a better place in the future. But I think we're also so used to now, what do I need now, that it's hard sometimes for everybody to think about the collective whole and think about what we're putting into the future. And I think that we need to do more of that, just as a society, but also in our industry as well.
yes,
Obvious reasons.
100%. I feel like creating a life or raising a life, whether you created it or not, is one of the it's one of the hardest things to ever do, in the world. And it should really be celebrated and applauded, and it shouldn't be shamed or like in any way made feel like how it's just nuts to me that anyone can feel like slightly less than or have to hide literally the most powerful thing you can ever do.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you that, that I know, when you ask if, you know, those stigmas are still there and, you know, the discouragement is still there, I think, yes, there's a lot of change happening. And also, you know, I think back to myself. This is like, I'm gonna, you know, tell a personal shame story. I hate this about myself, but like when I was younger, I completely had a lot of those not I think because I was so brainwashed by like, if you go down this path and you even think of, you know, a future of motherhood for yourself, like, you know, your career is gonna, like, we're not gonna take you seriously, right? And so as a young woman, I had this in my mind, and I was like, you know, well, I hate babies, and I'm never gonna, you know, all of this, like, literally, I mean, I was like, you know, the poster child of, you know, not amazing towards, you know, the mothers and all of the, I mean, meanwhile, I love my mommy like so much and appreciate her, but also this was in my mind as a mouthpiece. And that sucks. Like I look back at that and I'm like, you know, that's not who I am. That's not who I was, but it's what I was also, you know, just modeling out of, you know, a fear response. And so that's also like a driving factor for me, and was a driving factor for creating Mamas, because I was like, I don't want when I had Luca, like it just blew my mind. I was like, I cannot believe this experience and what it did for me as like a human, as a creator, everything. And I just looked back at like all the years that I was like wasting any time or energy thinking, you know, like I needed to pretend that there wasn't any part of me that would ever want to do that. And I just felt really sad about that. I was like, I really, like, my head was not in an honest place or a helpful place. And so I just really, it's something that I don't mind sharing about, because I know it's there, and I know it's still there because I felt it sometimes, like when I'm in women's groups and things like that, like where people are like, you know, we we don't want to be associated with motherhood because, you know, and I think that that's one of the things that I really love to see, like the stigma release button around, where it's like, if people don't want to have a kid, that's fine, but like we're not saying it or doing, you know, because we feel like we won't be taken seriously, you know. Yeah.
I remember being in my 20s and feeling that way about getting pregnant. Like, I'm like, you better never, you know, get pregnant. You better never do this because your career's over. You will never have a chance.
Yeah.
Every, just, it just was a way of thinking. I mean, and maybe it would have been true. I surely couldn't handle it and wasn't in a place to be a good mom at that point in my life. I probably would have had to just focus on, you know, being a mom at that point, which is fine. But there definitely was a whole lot of stigma against it at that age. And I don't know if it's so much the industry has grown or maybe I've grown. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Maybe a bit of both.
maybe it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
And also just becoming more confident and sure in who we are, and knowing our worth and our value, you know, on this earth comes with a lot. So yeah, it's really interesting. But you know, talking to you today, it's really enlightening for me because I feel like, oh, I'm gonna double down on the mom thing then because you know, I'm like, I don't know, maybe some people don't like it. I don't know, maybe they do, but if you know, if some people are walking around feeling like they can't come forward and embrace that, you know, I hope that they feel more comfort and community that they can just from seeing other moms do it. And then I also know some single dads. You know, I have a friend who really wanted a baby and he didn't have a partner, and he had one. And he has this incredible little boy who he takes everywhere with him. And uh she's just raising this kid by himself and he's doing such a great job.
That's
You know,
amazing.
yeah, it's just so beautiful. I watch them on Instagram all the time, and you know, I always think, I'm like, does he have enough community? I don't know. I think about the dads
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a number of single dads, or, they've like lost their partners, or um and that is I can't imagine, how they work through that as well. So one of the things that we're doing at Mamas and Music that we're getting ready to launch soon is a program called It Takes a Village, which is basically like a peer-to-peer chat support group. And we're doing it with the Alliance for Women Film Composers. It's for caregiving across the board for anyone in the music industry. But the idea is like, we've been trying to like get off of the social media, like, so we have an online platform, it's private, it's not related to any of the social media platforms. And it will be like a special place where if you have a special area of caregiving, like could be end of life caregiving, or like single dads that want to connect with others in the music industry, or like for me, I'm excited for when it launches because I'm autistic ADHD, late life. I just was diagnosed like 2 summers ago. So it's been a new like post mother opening. So like I'm really looking forward to connecting with others that are neurodiverse or have neurodiverse children, like being able to talk privately and have those kind of support groups. So I mean, I feel like it's really important to just be creating spaces like
Mhm.
that where people can have those kinds of conversations. In intimate ways with people that they get it.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the organizations we are here representing today. So, SONA is a membership-based trade association, a not-for-profit standing in the gap for songwriters who are unable to legally unionize in the United States. Our focus is advocacy, education, and community building. Can you tell us a little bit about Mob Music and your global reach?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we are a global nonprofit. We have chapters around the globe. We have multiple chapters in the US. And we have one launching in Africa tomorrow. I think I mentioned that earlier. We're basically members all over, and we just continue to grow. We get people reaching out from wherever they are in the world, pretty often asking about connecting with other members in their areas. And it's we are a collective of mamas like juggling our caregiving and our careers, and community building, and looking at how we can lean in to both on a local level as well as a global level. And so it's really the combination of when people are in a local community, they can find supports and build events and things in their area, but also we can connect with each other around the globe through our online platform. And our we have virtual programming, community programming, and community calls, and building like resources, but we're all here like building it together, and that's the thing. So it's going to just continue to evolve, because it's about us coming together and continuing to work together to envision and bring in those supports and resources and share opportunities, things like that.
That's awesome. What part of Africa?
Johannesburg is where the conference is. And yeah, so they're launching it there in South Africa.
Okay, I
Like
want
they're
to.
doing an amazing panel tomorrow at the conference with like some incredible mothers. I'm sure they're going to be sharing it online as well. So
Oh, that's fantastic. I've worked out there twice in South Africa, and I,
Joburg.
I've been to Cape Town, Joburg. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually work with an artist out there who's a mom,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, I think she has 3 kids. She's fantastic. I don't know how she does it all, but yeah, that's really really cool. There's so much talent over there, and also
Yeah.
build like as far as infrastructure and resources over there for music. There's a lot of room for opportunity over there.
I'm happy to connect her to our chapter leader that's launching there. So, just let me know, and I'm happy to connect them together. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, Sona, Sona does so many things. We have Sona, we have the Sona Foundation. Sona is a very small yet powerful group. Pretty much, yeah, it's all run by women as well. We do have male board members, but it's women running it. We do everything from, giving out grants to songwriters affected by COVID, grants songwriters affected by the fires recently here in California. So many educational resources, writing camps. We just did a camp with Alyssa in New York. We have an event coming up with Money Law in LA. It's just nonstop resources and opportunities we are trying to give the community, as well as advocacy and working really hard to pass laws that can, help us have a livelihood and songwriting. Because if it doesn't make money, no one can afford to do it anymore. So yeah, it's been an honor being on the board here and being involved. I think I got involved in 2020 as well. It's part of my intention, all of that. Sona is a big part of that as well. So yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing work. Yeah, really appreciate everything you all are doing there to support. Also, like, so much support around women and mothers and everything. Like, I know you guys also get to do a lot to try and change the system, which is really important. So
yeah, and I didn't mention also we do a lot with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Support. We give out grants for that. We have a whole programming for mental health, which can be free of charge for many songwriters here as well. So that goes hand in hand with motherhood. I want to ask you a few questions. Do you have a song on repeat right now?
Oh, well, my child has got Minecraft soundtrack on repeat, so unfortunately, Lava Chicken is in my head all day long. But my personal one is always like, I always run through Kate Bush. Running up that hill and cloud busting are, my go-tos, I would say. Peter Gabriel. I don't know.
Yeah, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening, and if you follow me on Instagram, you will see the thread of this. I listen to Elmo like 20 times a day. Yes, I wore an Elmo shirt that my mom got me for Mother's Day. I listen to Elmo so much. My daughter hasn't watched TV yet, so she doesn't know what he looks like. Although I have the puppets, but she's not connecting that to Elmo. We listen to this freaking Elmo like so much.
You think does it mess with the Spotify algorithms? And I'm always like, oh my God, I shudder to think what my suggested plays.
Probably, but I will. Something about Elmo's tone just makes her happy. Something about his voice, it's like, I don't know what it is, but it just makes her light up. So whatever that is, I'm here for it. And I just saw that Sesame Street got picked up by Netflix, so I was thrilled because I thought I was going to have to.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's so cool. Yeah.
How could we not have Sesame Street? I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been YouTube, always looking for like full episodes on YouTube. It's a pain. So that's going to be great.
I'm excited. I'm grateful because we haven't gone to that phase yet of TV, but when we do, I want Sesame Street to be a part of the life. How do you find balance with you with the traveling and husband and 7-year-old and music and
Yeah. I don't. I have to shut off devices, I would say, is the big thing. I have to shut off and force myself to do things that I know um I need to, and to like have meaningful connection. And lately I've also just been like really trying to find like some tech and automation solutions that can handle like some of the logistical things that twist me sideways and make me crazy, and that I don't have the functionality to deal with. So those are kind of, I feel like when I get some of those accommodations in a
Yes.
rhythm, that's going to smooth things out a little bit.
Yes, let's use AI for good things, not for writing
Mm,
or
exactly.
for doing things that we don't need to do necessarily. AI.
I mean, like Zapier, you know. I mean, they're all using a little bit of AI anyway, but to
Yeah,
some level,
yeah, for sure. I
that
mean,
bad word.
yeah. Am I finding balance? I don't know if I am. Probably not. And probably don't remember because my memory sucks right now. So I'm like, not
Mom
only,
brain.
yeah, I'm like, well, I not only don't, I've not found it, but I've forgotten about it. So I don't even feel bad about it because I don't remember I said I was going to do that. That's where I'm at.
I don't
But
know if it's the ADHD or the mom brain, but like it's still there
yeah,
years later. So, yeah.
sure. Um, what do you think is the most important way non-mothers can show allyship?
Yeah, I mean, I think don't wait to be asked, step in and be proactive and realize that, like, yes, supports and structures are needed. Like, look at ways to be flexible and compassionate, and also like offering opportunities, and contributing financially if you can, giving somebody some time, understanding, and just space to be um, human. And those are just the things. I think all of those things contribute to shifting the culture.
100%. I'm just gonna go and say, I'm gonna say it, pay us for our time.
Yeah.
For our time. You want us to do something? Pay us for our time.
I think it's even beyond that. It's like, it's also look at ways to create supports for, for folks in the industry. It's like allowing like mothers in the office to work from home or work remotely, if that's what they need to be able to do a good job at their work, and they can. It's also for creatives who want to go to networking events and different things like play gigs, etc., that there's an extra child care cost that has them go, I don't know if I can do that thing that would allow me to be on the same playing field as others. It's like stepping in and going, okay, like we are going to maybe create some grants and stipends towards, these are some of the things that we're working on, and ideally like bridging with other organizations to create some of these things. But that's, the I think inclusion looks like considering the cost of those things that allow them to stay in the game with others. That's what it looks like.
100%. I'm totally there with you.
Song camps, for example. Like we did uh the UK, we did a song camp in the UK. It was like their first song camp for mothers. And it's like, we're looking at doing some other ones, but what would keep somebody who's a mother from being able to do a song camp? How's the time flexibility? What time is the camp? And what's the caregiving cost? Is there some sort of support there that could help allow them to also be at that camp as well. Those are the kinds of things that we can think about when we're doing events. What time is the event? Is the event at a time that works for mothers as well? Yeah, those kinds of things.
Are you saying at the camp, like to provide stipends for childcare?
Yeah. Yeah, like we That's what we're aiming to do with some of the sun camps that we're developing, and we built a little bit into our first one that we did in the UK. But yeah, exactly. So again, even if somebody's going to a networking event, they have a childcare cost. If that is a thing that keeps them from being able to participate and be in the, in the game, then, I think what structure looks like is building stipends and things like that where they could um, have that covered so they can be a part of it.
Love that. Also, this was something I came across when I was pregnant. So many women's events serving food, pregnant women can't eat.
Mm.
All the time,
Hmm.
so I cannot eat. I was at one women's event. It was Grammy week, and I was in the first trimester, not very nauseous. That was my most nauseous week. It was moderate. And I was really, really, really struggling. I couldn't even make it to most things. I was super hard time, and no one knew I was pregnant, right? And I'm like, okay, finally get to the event. It took me 3 hours to get ready and get here, and I can't eat any of the food. And it's a women's event. And I'm like, really? Come on. Like, I know I'm not the only pregnant
I mean, I think that's like about the creating awareness of these kinds of things. Like people, don't, they don't think about what it really looks like to include mothers in like the woman bracket, right? Like that there are certain differences there and needs that need to be met that actually, would really make it possible for people to, feel comfortable and, and sustain. And awareness is a lot of the stuff, so it's like having conversations like this or having, conversations with allies, organizations, different people out there to just be like, hey, like this is what we had a conversation with the AWFC that was so great. We had a bunch of mama composers that came on there, and the women that were not mothers that were on the call were like, so afterwards they were like, we so needed to like witness
one.
these mothers being so vulnerable and like talking about their challenges and feeling like um feeling part of this community as women and their particular challenges and it was so moving because them seeing that, witnessing it and being like, oh wow, we needed to know that this is what is needed for these women in our community to feel like they can be with us and be included in things. Um,
Exactly. Exactly. That's so true. I'm learning so much from this and so much more I can implement in different areas of my life. Do you have a favorite quote?
um, yeah, I do. But it's probably the most quoted quote of all time. It's the Serenity Prayer. It's the one that I always default to. My grandmother had it in the kitchen. It's always been there. It's like, accept the things that, uh, you know, accept the things you can't change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I know it's very cliche, but that's the one. How about you?
I'm gonna go with the viral hit from like 10 years ago. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ooh, yes.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yes. That's me
Really?
all day, literally. I'm like, no, ain't nobody got time for that. Um, I can't remember who sang it, but it was really funny, and I have to have a lot of humor in things so I don't cry. And that's what I'm gonna go with.
Aw. I think all I did was cry my first just all day long.
I've heard that from a lot of friends. Um, I haven't cried much, really. And I'm like, is it gonna happen? Like, I have days I'm like, oh, is it like soon or, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I've never been a crier much. but like that could change. So yeah, see.
Yeah.
But I've heard that from literally like every friend of mine as well.
Like a all day long, like, am I crying because I'm happy? Am I crying because I'm sad? Am I crying because I feel, it's hard to pinpoint.
I did have a couple of tears a couple of days ago. She said mama for the first time. And that
Oh,
took me back. I was like, and then she hasn't did that. Now she just says dada. But I had my first mama, so I'm like, I'll take it. I got mama. Yeah. Well, we're just about to our hour. I want to thank you so much for being here, Tiff. This was really fun. I feel like I was talking to an old girlfriend.
yeah, thank you so much. It was a really, really, really lovely conversation. So appreciate you having me.
Thank you. This will replay on our Sona YouTube channel. I believe the link. Yeah, I'm gonna post the link. Mamas is gonna post the link. We're all gonna post the link. And if you're not already a member, join Mamas in Music. Join Sona. Um, you don't have to be a songwriter to be a member. And Tiff, are there any final thoughts from you to our audience?
I mean, I think we dove into so much stuff. I mean, I really appreciate you. I appreciate Sona. We're really like welcoming of anyone who's interested in being part of, whether allies or mamas, like, around shaping the motherhood conversation. And I think, I guess the final thing is, that's probably already been touched on, but this is a collective work. Like, it's a work that we're all doing together to make this kind of change for our culture and our industry, but also our society, and really, like, trying to normalize conversations and create these structures together. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you for holding space for all that.
Amazing.
And for being an amazing mother.
You too. You. See, do I have any final words? I feel like the final words, people that need to hear them wouldn't tune into this because they wouldn't. But let's see. If you are a boss and you have women working for you who are moms, please be really like understanding to those people, because if we stopped this, like, civilization wouldn't exist anymore. And it's actually really important that women want to we live in a world where it's not so difficult for us that we don't want to do it anymore. And just be kind to everybody, moms, dads, mom, dads, whatever, all genders, all people. Just be kind to the world. We're all fighting battles no one can see, and all just doing our best to exist on this planet. So yeah, if you can be nice to someone, please do that today. And with that said, thank you for joining Sona in the Room series. I'm Autumn Rowe, and have a wonderful day, guys.
Guys so much. Thank you. Hi, it's